Evening, everyone. My name is Samkelo Nyati. Here on behalf of Football Corner, as usual, we are going to bring you Euro 2024 content. And today, I have my good friend with me, Karabo Mohale. Karabo, how are you, brother?
I'm well. How are you, my man?
I'm super. We're going to dive straight into it. You know, time is off the efficient. So we, first of all, before we go to the video, I just wanna thank everyone who showed some love on the videos that we've been posting. We are seeing what you're doing, and please continue. And to those who are watching and not subscribing, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button, and please follow us on our other socials, TikTok, Instagram as Football Corner, and on Facebook as PSL Insights. Today we are going to do a full round recap. Unfortunately, we couldn't post a video for each day, but we decided to do the first round on one single shot. Because we couldn't keep track of the action that was happening. Everything was happening too fast. We had a lot of action during the past weekend. We had teams showing us they mean business. We had upsets, teams that we weren't expecting beating other teams, and we had matches that we weren't even expecting from teams we weren't expecting them from. So there's a lot that happened this weekend, but please be with us as we dive into all of that, and then we will just go with us step by step, and then we'll just do it game by game until we finish. So, Mr. Mukhali, our first game is the host, Germany versus Scotland. The first match which played on Saturday, the 14th of June. What a way to announce the tournament.
What a brilliant game, man.
So the first talking point I just want us to dive into, Germany. I think when we're talking about Germany in the breakdown of the group, we did mention that Germany are going to be a different force on home soil, and we did mention that Scotland are going to be one of the teams to watch. But seeing Germany demolish them like that, so what do you think was the main factor of Germany just bringing out that top performance for that game?
I can say, form is temporary, but class is permanent. That was a class display, especially the midfield. André, Cruz, and Gundogan were so brilliant. So brilliant. Gundogan
So much
maneuvering around as an attacking mid, shielded by Cruz and Andre.
Yes. You mentioning Andre brings me to this point that no one was expecting him to start. As we were breaking down this, we were talking about a midfield of Musiala, Cruz, and Gundogan. We didn't even mention Andrik. And what a way to announce yourself in the big stage by having that top performance. Because if it wasn't for that yellow card that he got in the first half, he would have played the whole game, and he might have been even man of the match because he made it easier for the likes of Toni Kroos and Gundogan. He just broke down everything, and he just let them play their normal football.
Well, for some of us who watch the Bundesliga, we know how unbelievable he is. It was evident when he partnered with Granit Xhaka in Leverkusen's invisible season. He had a good season. He gave a lot of freedom to Florian Wirtz. He was so good, man. He was so good. He's
Um,
he's up there with top central defensive midfielders.
mm. Okay.
Uh,
Speaking about that, before we go to the young boys, Musiala and Florian Reed, I just want us to touch on the position of Tony Cruz because I noticed something very, very interesting about how he was positioned, and that is just testament to their coach Julian Nagelsmann. He's a tactician. We know him. We know that he can come up with great tactics, and I noticed something about Toni Kroos's position. He was playing sort of he was dropping back and playing sort of as a third center back with the full backs going front, and he was playing like and when Germany had the ball, he was playing sort of like a third center back, and with Germany having three defenders there, and then the full backs pushing up. Was that part of the reason that they dominated the game so well?
yeah, I can say that that's one of the most important positions in the field of play, the deep line playmaker. It has always been there. Jorginho did it when I think he came out third in the Ballon d'Or nominations. Yeah, when Italy won the Euros.
2021 years.
Yeah, Jorginho did a similar thing. So yeah, it's a position that has always been there. Uh, as we all know, Cruz is good. That game in the first half, he had 55 out of 55 attempted passes, which was 100% accuracy. He's so
And the whole
good.
game,
He's so
he
good.
only missed one pass.
You can imagine that's about 98, 99%. He's
Okay.
so good.
I want us to also look at that positioning by Toni Kroos on what it did to that Scotland team, because now Scotland, the way they pressed, it opened up space between their lines and it allowed Gundogan to exploit those spaces. And also Florian Wirtz, he was able to exploit those spaces. Did Toni Kroos dropping down give enough freedom to the likes of Gundogan and the likes of Musiala and Florian Wirtz, who were playing as inverted wingers, by the way, which was another masterclass in terms of tactics by Julian Nagelsmann. And when you look at it, it was actually scary to see Musiala driving with the ball and everyone just pushing front, and then Florian Wirtz dropping into that pocket between the midfield of Scotland and the backline of Scotland. Was the position of Toni Kroos the result of or was the position of Toni Kroos giving that freedom to those boys?
Not only Cruz, because if you saw in the first 5 minutes of the game, Rudiger played this brilliant ball to Wirtz, but it was offside. So yeah, it's not only Cruz who's good with those passes. I think the whole team. You go to the right back is Kimmich, one of the best passers of the ball. They have
Exactly.
good passers everywhere. They have all the reason to go all the way. I don't know why they are not counted as one of the favorites, but they have the potential to go all the way, given that they are on home soil too.
I understand that. Sorry for the break. So with that midfield playing that way, and then those inverted wingers, there was so much dynamism in Germany's playing style. Because also remember they have Havertz as a false nine, and when that doesn't work, they have Fulkrug who can come back as that old school target man striker. So with the type of formation they are playing now, which one is better? Which one should they lean over to, Fulkrug or Havertz?
Uh, Well, that's a dilemma for Nagelsmann, which is good. If it was in my hands, I'd go with Havertz first as a deep lying number 9, false 9. Interchange him with Wirtz and Musiala, and if it's not working out, we go the old school. You bring in David Raum, the left back, and then there's Kimmich as your right back. They swinging the balls. Fulkrug is quality in the air. He'll definitely get goals. So it's a dilemma. It's a nice dilemma for the coach.
So, just closing out on this Germany matter, was that performance something that we should expect more going forward, or do you think maybe it was the first game fever that you can get as the host nation?
Well, Scotland is a good team. They had a brilliant qualifying. They were brilliant when in the qualifying rounds. They also beat Spain. Don't forget that. So yeah, I think that was a very, very good performance from Germany to do that to a team like Scotland. So the dynamism within the German team will definitely get them far in the tournament. So yeah, I don't think it was only the Scotland game, but even against the other opposition, yeah, I think they can still perform like that.
All right. Speaking about big performers and actually giving out performances, then the next team we're going to talk about is a team that you never know what they are going to bring up in major international tournaments, and they always deliver for us. Dating back to the 2016 Euros, the 2018 World Cup, they've been producing enough or good performances that make you just want to note them down and put them there. The team in question is Switzerland. Our next game is Hungary versus Switzerland. A team in question is Switzerland. That performance, for me, it was one of the best performances I've seen them pull out in a major international tournament. Yes, they did play up against France, but that was the win against France. It was a late comeback. That one they showed dominance from the first minute on, and evident to that their right back. I just want us to start with their right back, Michael Abishek. The way he played, for me, not knowing him before the game, I feel like it's also a crime to him. Because when I saw him, I thought he was a midfielder. But the way he was playing, I only saw later that, oh, this guy is a right back. Playing that much on that higher stage, and it's your first international tournament, and playing and having that type of performance, what does that say about you as a player?
Well, it's a matter of a season you have. If you have a good season, most definitely your confidence will be high. If it's high, definitely you're gonna give out a performance like that, dishing out assists, even scoring. Yeah, it's a matter of confidence.
And then how
Football
important?
is a
How important was Granit Xhaka's experience in the midfield? Because you could see the way he was dominating that midfield, the balls he was playing, the runs he was making. How important was him having that season at Arsenal, the previous season at Arsenal, the one that they missed out on the league, and then the next season he goes on to win the Bundesliga undefeated with Bayer Leverkusen. There is no better script that can be written on a player.
He's always been a top quality midfielder. I've always followed him since his Mönchengladbach days, before he even went to Arsenal. He's always been that good. But then now it's when we can see that he's that good. An invisible season once again. also going all the way in the Europa League. He's so good. He's so good going forward and backwards.
It's worth mentioning that he only lost one game in 52 games. 52 games, and he only lost one game. So
that's
that
most
winning mentality
definitely worth mentioning.
That winning mentality counts for something. And talking about a player that has had a contradicting form to what we're talking about, Granit Xhaka, a player that has had one of his worst seasons for Monaco, if I'm not mistaken, Brian Mbolo. Yes, Brian Mbolo didn't.
It's Monaco.
Yes, Brian Mbolo didn't have the best of season, and it's not the first time going into a major tournament and Brian Mbolo is not having the best season. But he's that guy. You were telling me about the meme that he's like Ochoa, the Mexican goalkeeper. You don't see them during the normal season, and when it comes to a major national tournament, he's providing you with quality stuff. So this time or this 10 in this Euro 2024, he's having a very much different role playing for Switzerland. He's usually a starter, but right now he's coming off the bench with young players like the goal scorer. His name just ran away. The goal scorer and those players, they are coming off good seasons. So Brian Mbolo is going to be coming off the bench to provide, and also Jelen Shaqiri. They have those players in the bench. How important or how good for them for Switzerland to have that much quality and that much big tournament experience on the bench.
It's very important. It's very important. They are one of those. I think they did knock out the French national team in the 2020 edition.
Yes, they did.
It shows you France is a good team, and being able to do with them the way they did them back in 2021. It shows you they are a quality team, and now with the youngsters who are coming through, and also the experienced guys, they also have the potential to go up to the quarters. I can even stretch it to the semis. So they definitely have a good team.
Let's talk about their opponents. They also had a very great run coming into the tournament. Even their pre-tournament friendlies, the warm-up friendlies, they had like great matches. But there was one player who was to mention in those matches, which is Dominic Szoboszlai, the Liverpool player, who is their tallest man, the youngest captain ever to captain a team in the European Championships. How big it is to how big an advantage it is to the opponents of Hungary, knowing now that if you mark Dominic Szoboszlai, it's not easy for Hungary to play. Because if you remember the game, he ended up drifting to the wing. Even his assist, it came as he was playing in the wing. He's a quality player, but when you mark a player like that, a team like Hungary doesn't play. How much an advantage to the teams that are going to play Hungary is knowing that if you mark Dominic Szoboszlai, it's very difficult for Hungary to play.
Well, he's a decent player in the team, but they still have other quality players. There's Kekes, the left wing back who plays for Bournemouth in the Premier League. They have a couple of
their striker
players. Yeah, their striker, that physical guy who was trending, he's good. And then there's an upcoming one called, I think his name is Nemeth, something like that.
Yes, I know that one.
They do have good players, but stifling a quality player like Swirtzerland definitely kills them. You know, the Hungarian national team is like one of those teams which are one-man international team. We've seen it before with Poland, with Lewandowski, the Belgian national team with Hazard. Yeah, there are so many one-man national teams. So if you can thwart the danger man in the team, yeah, you can definitely stifle their threat. And yeah, it was evident as they were dominated by the Swiss national team.
Okay. I want us to touch this before we move on to the next team. I want us to touch on the threat of set pieces that Hungary have, because when you notice that they were missing a lot of chances in set pieces, is it an area that they should look on, making sure that they get right so that they can pose a threat on the teams they'll be facing next?
Since you're a huge Premier League fan, I'm not going out of context here. If you've watched you have definitely watched Sean Dyche. He was at Burnley and he's now doing it at Everton. They were deducted points. They still managed to survive. So it's a tactic which Sean Dyche has been using for many years, and he's been surviving with it. So I believe the Hungarian national team can too, if they are able to utilize their opportunities on dead balls. So it will be interesting to see if they utilize their corners, free kicks, yeah, their dead ball situations.
Okay. Talking about that, we're going to go to our next group here, which is Group B, which was dubbed to be the group of death in the tournament, with the amount of teams they have, and we saw the Spanish side just walking over Croatia, but not walking over Croatia the normal way we are used to seeing Spain do with their opponents. We saw a different trend. Spain were able to give away possession, and they played differently, man. We know Spain likes to keep the ball. They like to play with those short passes, but they were giving out diagonals and playing quick passes. Even with their goals, most of them are just counter attacks where defense are unsettled. Because if you look at the first goal by Morata, their centre back partnership wasn't as tight enough, so they afforded a space to a player like Morata, and you can't afford that much space to a player like Morata. But the old Spanish team wouldn't have been able to see that, because they would be still passing in the midfield somewhere, but they just bypassed the midfield area. And will that be key to Spain going all the way, as they are being mentioned now with the contenders?
Yeah, football evolves, man. If you can look at the 2012 squad, there was not even one number 9. Even Fernando Torres was benched. They were playing a diamond so that it can suit the likes of David Silva, your Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, Fabregas was the most upfront. So now it's the formation is evolving. There's a feel of dynamism around their play. They they play crosses, they play. Sometimes they drop back and then rely on Morata's space, which was evident during their
against Croatia.
first goal. So,
speaking about pace, we saw a young man, a 17-year-old, becoming the youngest player to ever play in the Euros, and he didn't disappoint. He delivered, got an assist. What a ball to the right back from Real Madrid, man. Carvajal, what a ball from Lamine Yamal. How important is having a player at 17-year-old playing on the highest level and playing like that against a seasoned veteran who has played in a World Cup and also plays for Man City, Jasper Guardiola.
man, Variol is a quality defender. We've seen it in the Premier League and in the Champions League. For Yamal to do that, suffice to say, Barcelona have a gem there. Subsequently, Spain has a gem there. He had a brilliant game. And it's good to see them youngsters coming up and having games like that. The confidence meant to do that to Vardiol. He was so brilliant to watch.
And he could have scored as well with that chance that he got where the keeper pulled off an amazing save.
Yeah. I remember that chance. He tried to open up his body. I can't say he was unlucky. It was a brilliant save from Livakovic. It was a brilliant
Yes,
save.
I also saw that as well, because when you look at where the hand met the ball was bouncing and it was on the ground. If he allowed the ball to bounce, then it would have beaten him. And if he tried to anticipate the bounce and took his hand a bit higher, it would have went under his hand. And talking about that Croatian team. We know that we come from a golden generation of Croatian players. A Croatia that went to the World Cup final, went to the World Cup semi-finals. But with that golden generation, they have been very poor in European tournaments. And let's talk about that. Is this them proving that they don't like playing in European tournaments, or is it because the golden generation is a thing of the past now?
I can say the golden generation is a thing of the past. They are quality players aging, so that brilliant midfielder is deteriorating bit by bit because during the 2018 World Cup they heavily relied on Perisic, who's now benched. The likes of Brozovic are getting old, Modric and Kovacic. So, yeah. Modric is approaching his 40s. So, they definitely need a young blood in there.
Okay. With that being said, a team that has took your advice, Italy, and they have decided to go with young blood this time. Let us wait for that. Okay.
Carry on.
All right. I'm back. So a team that has decided to take your advice, Italy, and go with a lot of young blood, with the likes of Killing and the likes of Bonucci retiring. And then yes, so we just saw that the way they went and approached the game, it's very different from how they usually do it before. I don't know what's happening. I keep on repeating myself there. Can you
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you.
Mm. Okay, yeah, it's fine now.
Um,
Okay, so with Italy, you talked about evolution with the Spanish national team. I also saw some evolution with Italy, but also it raises some questions to me as Albania almost pulled off an upset there. But we're going to talk about Italy first. With that diamond shape they were playing in the midfield. Yes, on paper the formation was a 4-3-3, but they were actually playing, you could see that Jorginho was the deepest of the midfielders, and then the likes of Pellegrini and the number 7 from who's that guy? He was playing on sort
I
of the
think it.
left, the right.
I think
Yes, yes,
it's
yes, yes.
Fratesi from
Yes. That's
Inter.
Yes, Fratesi. So he was playing sort of a right midfielder, and then Pellegrini was playing sort of a left midfielder, interchanging with Barella, who was playing sort of a attacking midfielder. So, and then Skamanka and Kiel were playing as the front two men. So with that, do you see the evolution happening, and is Italy leaving their traditional 3-4-3 formation, doing the right thing by doing that?
Um, because Juventus was the best team for many years in the Italian division. I always felt like the national team was a carbon copy of what Juventus does. But then it's so good to see the team evolving. Those young guys there, Barella, Fratesi, they just won the Scudetto with
Inter
Inter.
Milan.
Very, very good players. There's Chiesa there, who's very good, who's very rapid. The defense also is good. I like the new debutant who plays for Bologna, and then Bastoni has been there. He's seen it.
So,
It's so good. Let's say if Mancini was still in charge, we definitely know that he was gonna call out Chiellini out of retirement and Bonucci to partner them up. So it's good to see some evolution there, because
yeah. Okay.
I like the youth so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
the up and coming youngsters.
Yes, talking about youth and up and coming strikers, we have a striker who was firing for Atalanta, and he wasn't convincing in that game. And with the likes of Immobile not available in the squad, is it fair to judge Skamanka on that game, or it was one of those games that was very difficult for them?
It would not be fair to judge him thus far, uh, but I would have loved to see Immobile in the team as someone who has the experience, who's been there, who's done that, as he was leading the line in the 2020 edition. So
Yes.
yeah, now Skamaka has all the responsibility, but it would be unfair to judge him thus far. So, but I believe he's gonna have a good tournament
All right.
because he has delivery from many positions there. So if the delivery is right, he's good aerially. He can score with both feet. So yeah, it's a matter of delivery for him.
Okay. Before we move on to the next group, which is Group C, I just want a one-word answer for this question. Will Italy retain?
No, they are not convincing.
Okay.
Albania did have their point there.
That's that's great to know, and I believe we still have a lot of games to watch and a lot of entertainment to see,
By
and we'll definitely see if
by
they are
by
cut up.
by the way, by the way, sorry to interrupt you. Current champions should be England. I'm glad they are not, but current champions should be England. Italy were lucky to be champions back in 2020. So uh, I don't think that luck will be there now.
Okay, and understandable. And moving over to a team of interest here, the game between Poland and the Netherlands. With that said, Netherlands are coming into a major international tournament finally as being as the favorites, and they did look shaky in that game, but as a team that is dubbed to be one of the winners they managed to pull off a victory against a Poland side that is not easy to play against. So do you think that their formation should change in the next game with the call up of the new left back from please remind me from
It's Madsen from Dortmund on loan from
yes, Martin from
Chelsea.
yes, the one who's on loan from Chelsea. Yes, he was recently called up, and now it gives them an opportunity to use the likes of Frimpong as they are used in Leverkusen in a 3-4-3 formation that will allow the likes of Xavi Simons to be much tucked in, Cody Gakpo to be much tucked into the box where they like to be, rather than wide on the wing areas where they were somewhat ineffective in that game. Yes, they did have a couple of shots, a couple of chances created, but they weren't as influential as we know them. And with the missing of with the exclusion of players like De Jong and the Atalanta midfielder, the ones who got
Koopmeiners.
injured before the tournament, yes, of Myla, and though the exclusion of those players takes something from their midfield. So having three at the back to cover that midfield would be a much better way to approach the coming games rather than the 4-3 formation that they are currently using.
That's some great analysis there. I have to give it to you. I was surprised because during the qualifying rounds they were actually using a 3-4-3 formation. I think it was Ake, De Ligt, and Van Dijk at the back. So I was surprised to see them go with a 4 at the back in their opening game. So I believe with the emergency call-up of Madsen, they can actually go to that 3 at the back and play Frimpong as a right wing back and Madsen as a left wing back. We've seen what Frimpong can do as a right wing back. It was so evident going back to Bayer Leverkusen again. I believe that would be the most suitable formation for them, but they still win with a 4 at the back. But for me, from my perspective, they can go even further with a 3 at the back. That would also give lessons to Simons and Gakpo to play as inverted wingers, like you said, where Simons usually played for Leipzig in Germany in the past season. So yeah, I believe that their best shot at this tournament is having them play 3 at the back rather than a 4.
Okay. Talking about Xavi Simons, I just want to let our viewers and our subscribers, whoever will be watching that, actually the man who discovered Xavi Simons amongst our group back in varsity. It was him coming with Xavi Simons to us and say, "Hey, have you seen this young man?" And it was so nice seeing him grow up, and now he's playing in the national team. I remember I gave him a call when I saw the list for the 2022 World Cup, where he was first included in the national team. I was giving him a call. I'm like, "Hey, did you see they called up our boy?" Hey, I feel old now. I feel like I feel like a proud father.
Um, hence, back in our UJ days, I would always suggest that we go to the bunting to watch some youngsters, because academy football is so nice, man. It's so nice. I remember we'd sit there, log into the Wi-Fi, and yeah.
Just
Uh,
watch the young.
just watch the boy when he was still at Barcelona. Good old days, my friend. Uh, he deserves to be where he is. He earned his place. Man, I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him to have watched him grow up, and now playing for his national team. That's so good.
Yes, and then talking about that, we also have a team in this group that hasn't been convincing enough, and we don't really know what else do they need to do, because now their next opponents, I believe, they have to play France and Austria. An Austrian team that is not afraid of any team. We saw them against France, and then they also have to play France, who are one of the favorites to win the tournament. What do Poland need to do in their current squad to be able to compete? I believe that they can't compete really in this tournament. They should just pack their bags and go home.
Not so fast, man. Not so fast, because I believe they have that system of third best team, where they take best number threes, and then they send them to the round of 16. So I believe their best shot. I have to go back to your point of set pieces when you were referring to Hungary. Their first goal. Their only goal in the tournament was actually a set piece, a corner. The guy who actually replaced the great Lewandowski scored. So, yeah, their best.
Vincent Kobol.
I apologize to your viewers, Mr. Interviewer.
Apologies. To those who know, they know who that guy is. And you, unfortunately, angeke wazi. But Vincent Kobola used to play for Swallows and Cape Town City. Okay. Let's move over. You were saying Miss, are you still there?
I was saying that Poland's best shot at the tournament is set pieces, dead balls. As it was evident with their first and only goal in the tournament. So they still have a chance. They can't pack their bags yet.
So do they play 4-4-2 with Lewandowski and I can't remember the name of the guy who scored, the tall guy who's also good aerially.
Lewandowski is currently injured, so I don't think he can start a game.
So what I was reading about and what they said about Lewandowski is that he will be available for he was also available in that game. They just didn't want to risk with him since they have to play Austria this week. So do they play 4-4-2 with those players, with those two players, if given that Lewandowski is available?
Yeah, 4-4-2 and put those guys in there, putting crosses. They are good in the air, so yeah, they can definitely get some goals.
Okay. Talking about a player that's good in the air, Benjamin Sesko. We are moving over to Slovenia versus Denmark. I'm actually mad at the boy for signing a new deal again at Leipzig, but we don't want to be biased here. We don't want to reveal ourselves. How did you make of his performance against against Denmark?
He was so good. He could have had at least 2 goals. In the first minutes of the game, he actually had a chance, of which should it have been on target. It was definitely a goal. And in the second half, he also blasted the crossbar with an incredible shot. He's a good player. He's a good player with his feet and aerially too. So yeah,
Okay.
they definitely have a good player there.
I want to mention that this was my least favorite match in the tournament. I don't like 1-1 draws, in terms of entertainment. A 1-1 draw always, there is always a last minute winner smelling. But with this game, there was an exception. Because when you talk about Christian Eriksen and what he's been through and what he went through in the previous Euros, it was great to see him actually get a goal in his first game back at the Euros. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah, contradiction right there. His first game in the 2020 edition, he had cardiac arrest, and it was so sad to see him lifted off the pitch and get some medical attention. It was very, very, very sad. Uh, yeah, in contrast, now he has scored a beautiful goal in his first game of this year's edition. Yeah, he has always been a a good midfielder since his days at Spurs. He has
Yeah.
always been good. He's one of the veterans in the Danish national team,
Mm.
of
And
which
he's also
helps the young and upcoming youngsters. And
he's also there.
his service for their strikers also. So he's one of their key players. Because I
He's
like him
also
so much, I love him. I hope they qualify.
ngiyakuzwa, ngiyakuzwa. And he's also their all-time top goal scorer. And then moving over, we're going to move over to a team that can really take our time now. A team that has a tendency of underperforming with a very good squad, with players that we love, watch week in, week out. England versus Serbia. First of all, the first question I just want to ask about this game: what is it difficult to beat Serbia, or was England just too negative in their play? Because when you look at the game, they were holding their jerseys with their teeth towards the end.
I can say it's a little bit of both because Serbia has good players. They are not a walk in a park. They have good players. I like Milinkovic Savic so much. A decent player. I was so sad to actually see him go to the Saudi at his age. There's also Lukic, who plays for Fulham in the Premier League. They have good players, but I say it's a matter of both because England scored one and then became pragmatic and relied on moments too much, relied on the counter too much because Serbia dominated the second half. The least they should have got out of the game was at least a point. But yeah, the beautiful game is not about what ifs and what nots. England got their goal and subsequently 3 points.
Okay. Talking about that. Also, we move over and go to the overhyping of players in that England setup, because some players were overhyped, and yes, rightfully so. I believe that rightfully so, but we haven't seen the likes of Phil Foden performing for England, and the way he was dubbed to be one of the best players for that England team, and the player who wasn't given too much attention. I don't like us to go on down this road now, but I just want to mention that when people talk about England, they fail to mention Bukayo Saka. He is not mentioned anywhere, and when comes game time, he's the player that delivers for them. Does that do anything? Does that tell you something about the, the England media in general, or that's just testament to how good players maybe perform on other stages and perform on other stages?
Well, it's so sad because you see someone like Saka. He's been there. He's been there for. It's been a couple of seasons where he had a decent seasons actually. But then now, because Cole Palmer had a brilliant season, it was beyond decent. So because Palmer had that kind of a season, now he's the one the media actually prefers over Saka, who has been there consistently, and it's so sad. It's one of those things which cost many teams, because there has to be a rhythm within a team. There has to be a consistent starting 11. You can't chop and change because this player had a good season and then this one had a decent one, but the other one had a better one, so you want to get rid of Saka because of those reasons. So it's one of those reasons which always cost England at major tournaments.
Okay. Talking about Serbia, were Serbia unlucky to get to come up or come out of that game with a single point?
They were so unlucky, but yeah, that's how the beautiful game is. You don't take your chances, you don't get the points. So yeah, they deserve their point, but they didn't take their chances. Otherwise, they had a good second half.
Okay. We are going to move over now to the next team that didn't provide us with much to talk about in terms of the way they were so documented coming into the tournament. For example, they have the best squad in the tournament currently. That's you can't argue with. You can't argue with that. So you can't argue with the fact that you can't argue with the fact that they have been on a high recently in terms of their play, in terms of the games they've been playing, but they didn't look as a team that's going to win the tournament in the first game. How did you make of their performance against Austria?
The French national team.
Yes, the French national team.
I was so surprised to see the French national team play pragmatic the way they did. I thought they would dominate the ball because they have quality players. They can risk losing the ball. They have the men who's like water on the earth, who covers 70% of the surface. In N'Golo Kante, he's back after 2 years. They have him. They can risk losing the ball. They have him. They also have Rabiot, who's who's so good at tracking back and winning the ball back. So it was surprising to see them sit back and try to hit Austria on the counter. We all know about the gegenpress that they always talk about from Germany and Austria, but if you look on paper, they have decent players to play a system like Man City's system, where they can push higher up the field. But it was so surprising to see them sit back and rely on moments.
Okay. Also, talking about Austria, after that game, do they take confidence from that game losing 1-0 to France to their next game against Poland?
Most definitely, the goal wasn't really convincing, as it was an own goal. So they can take a lot from that game. The French didn't create that many good chances where we can say they definitely could have scored many goals. So yeah, the Austrian national team can take a lot from that game and push on to the next game. They can definitely progress as long as they are clinical in front of goal. They can
And
definitely
then,
progress.
so when I was looking at Austria, I saw a shocker coming, but it just was coming from a distance, and they just couldn't get there. But here's a team that managed to come up with a shocker. In Group E, we have Romania, who pulled a shocker 3-0 win against Ukraine when us here in the channel. So this is our apology to Romania. I apologize on behalf of me, Tunzi and Zianda and Karabu, who wasn't there, but I know he also disrespected Romania. I like to offer the apology on behalf of Football Corner, because Romania, they did the imaginable, because no one could have imagined that they could pull out a win like that against Ukraine, who has been on a good patch recently.
The Ukrainian national team has decent players. There's Zinchenko, who plays in midfield, in contrast to playing at left back for his club, Arsenal. He controls games much better in midfield. There's a legend on the right wing, Yarmolenko. They
Yes.
have many good players. There's also a good striker there, Yamrochuk, as a name like that.
Yeah,
So
it's
even the bookies were favoring Ukraine. So it was shocking to say the
that's
least.
why we love football.
That's why we
That's
live for moments like that.
And then when we're still trying to collect our heads from that moment, Group E delivered again. Belgium's lost. They lost to. Sorry, Belgium's lost to Slovakia.
Yeah, it's I don't know what to say. Belgium has been deteriorating. I can say that because since Hazard left, since Fellaini left, it takes us back to the Croatian national team. Those teams that rely on certain kind of players. So yeah, it's one of those teams. Now they still have decent players though. Don't get me wrong. Tielemans is good. There's Trossard who's very good. Lukaku always has his on and offs, but on his day, he can definitely punish any team. They have many decent players. The best midfielder in the world, KDB, their captain. They have many good players, but their form seems like it's going down and down and down as years go by. So, yeah,
Can you
since they
can
were
you
shocked in the first game, and in the last in the World Cup, their last tournament, they were actually eliminated in the group stages. So you never know about them these days.
Okay, let us move over to before we move over to Group F, the last group. I just want us to give the crown to Group E for being the best group of the first round. That's our group of the round, and then talking about the play of the round, we're going to our match of the tournament. The match of the tournament so far, not of the round, but of the tournament so far, which was an end-to-end extravaganza, where we saw play from this goal to this side, chances missed from this side to disallowed goals this side, amazing goals, two goal of the tournament contenders. It was just amazing to see two teams that wanted to play football and wanting to entertain us. I want to mention a few players. Atagula's impact. The young player, Yildiz, who managed to sit the player from Galatasaray. Just forgot his name. But he managed to do all of those things, and he had an amazing game at 19. So there were two 19-year-olds in that Turkish team, and also a Georgian team that was playing their first match in the Euros. They managed to just go all out in their first match, and they won our hearts, even though they were defeated. But they showed that they are not here to just add numbers. They are here to compete. It just provided us with the utmost entertainment. But I just want us to touch on this young player only in this game. That's the only thing we're going to touch, as time is not on our side. I want us to touch on Matt Mulder, the right back, who scored a banger and then managed to pocket, not even him alone, his centre back partner as well. They were working so well together. He was the right back and then the right centre back. They worked so well together in neutralizing a top player that you know,
Australia.
Varashelia from Napoli. How did you see that performance from that right side? How important was that performance from those two players to make sure that Turkey go on with the full points?
That was a brilliant game, and I actually thought that attempt, the volley attempt, was from a midfielder, only to find out that that guy is actually a right back. It was a beautiful game, very, 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 very beautiful goal. That defense, the right side, was so important. We all know Kvaratskhelia threat. We all know what he does in the Serie A with Napoli. So to neutralize him, to stifle him, to make his attacks null and void like that, it was so important because, as you said, the game was so open. It could have gone either way. So it was important to neutralize him, because if Kvaratskhelia actually got his chances, he could have destroyed the Turkish national side. So those guys, one of them has to be man of the match, most definitely, with a plus 8.0 rating.
Yeah, and in their group they have Portugal and Czech Republic. What a comeback from the Portuguese.
Yeah, it's so rare to see a national team go down and produce a performance like that by coming back and winning the game. it was so good to watch. I actually like the way the Portuguese national team dominated the ball. They were so good. Their wingers deliveries were good for Ronaldo, but yeah, I think it was not Ronaldo's day. But it was so good to see a comeback like that, which
So
is very rare in international football.
speaking about Ronaldo's age, talking about Ronaldo's age, does Ronaldo need to be rotated? Or Kabang?
I think so, but yeah, I don't think he'd agree. We know what happened when they tried to rotate him at United. So yeah, I so I don't think you'd agree, but someone like Ramos, who plays for PSG, deserves a chance also to have some dynamism, because Ronaldo wants to be there to be fed crosses, but if there's someone who can play as a false nine, who can drop deep and go into the box late, yeah, there's a sense of dynamism about that. But if it's only Ronaldo, we know that he's so good, he's so clinical, but there needs to be a sense of dynamism. Bring in someone like Ramos, who's gonna try to drop deep and try to connect the play. Yeah, something like that. Because they were they were stopped actually when they tried to cross in the ball, and yeah, hence Portugal's attacks were thwarted.
Mm. Okay, so talking about that, Ramos was given a chance in the World Cup, and in his first game, he scored a hat-trick. But I don't want us to touch too much on that because it can be a dragging conversation. Let's talk about Pepe. How did you make of his performance at 41 years old?
He was so good. He was so good. I can't say it's shocking. He's a decent player. He has always been. But it's so good to see other national teams actually give their legends a shot at major tournaments like this. He had a good game. He had a good game because
Excuse me.
Diaz and Dalot actually stopped their opponents so well. Just that they scored a brilliant goal. There was no stopping that goal. So he actually had a good game.
Okay. Um, I agree with that. Pepe really had a good game, but in overall, we had a very good first round of matches. Just looking at the amount of upsets we had, everything that we've talked about. But we know football news never end, and if we can just try and touch everything, we would go on for the whole day, but unfortunately we have time that we have to abide to. So with that being said, thank you very much, Karabo, and I hope that we can have you again on the show and just continue to talk about football, because this is what we do very on a usual basis. And I want to thank as well the people who are watching, the people who stayed on for the live, and the people who support on YouTube, on all our other socials, and to those who are not familiar with this is what we do. We're going to be doing it and more frequently as well. So please do subscribe, and just there at the bottom, click the logo, subscribe, and then like the videos, watch the videos, take your time, comment also with what you think about what we are talking about, and then if you want to watch our all of our Euro 2024 content. You can just click on this little box here, and then it will take you directly to the playlist that has all of our Euro 2024 content. And from Football Corner and me, Samkelo Nyati, Karabo Mohale, thank you. Bye-bye.
Till the next one, man.